24 debate, and tonight we're discussing last night's attack in the Sinai province, which lies between Israel and Egypt. Well, 16 Egyptian soldiers were murdered by terrorists who then tried to force their way into Israel. So will this increasingly lawless area be a source of hostility or cooperation between two states that share an uneasy peace? Well, a reminder of our panel tonight. Myra Mahdi is an Egyptian author. She's also a former member of the Social and Economic Council here in France. On my left, Gil Mikhaili is a journalist at the Israeli daily newspaper Yediot Aronot. Just back from Egypt, but tonight in Barcelona, Omar Ashur is the Director of Middle East Studies at the University of Exeter. And in Tel Aviv tonight, Ron Ben Yishai is an Israeli journalist, columnist and former war correspondent. Good evening to you all. Thanks for being with us. Now, before we go on, let's take a closer look at the Sinai Peninsula, where it is, what it is, etc. I think we can take a look at this for you. There we go. There's a picture for you of where it is. As you can see, it's right between Egypt and Israel. It's Egyptian territory. Around 500,000 people live in this area. For 4 centuries, it was part of the Ottoman Empire. Then in 1948, 5 Arab armies, including Egypt, attacked Israel. Then in 1967, following the Six-Day War, Israel took control of the Sinai. There was then a peace treaty drawn up at Camp David back in 1979. And as part of that, Israel withdrew its troops completely up until this day. It is supposed to be a demilitarized zone, but Egypt has been building its troop presence with Israel's blessing. If I could go back to you, Ron Ben Yishai in Tel Aviv. The question is, Mohammed Morsi is under a lot of pressure, isn't he, to renegotiate this peace treaty with Israel. A lot of people in Egypt don't want any kind of deal with Israel at all. Could he use this as an opportunity now to go ahead with that?
First of all, Egypt can ask also Israel. There is a clause in the peace treaty that allows for renegotiating of the terms of mainly the security terms of the peace accord. This is the legal situation. Now, Israel is ready for renegotiating the peace accord with Egypt, and Israel has allowed twice the Egyptians to introduce, as my colleague said, more forces into the Sinai exactly for that purpose, to put law and order among the smugglers and the criminals and drug handlers, etc., etc. So it is possible. I don't think that Israel will object, but Israel will try to preserve, as I said before, as much as possible the peace accord with Egypt. I have one thing I want to say to the Egyptian lady who, unfortunately, I didn't catch her name.
Myra Mahdi.
Yes, I'm glad to hear that. She's benevolent. Yes, she would like to have peace and to have calm and people to talk to each other. The problem is, and I know the ground in Sinai, I've been there many times, is that the people who are there now, many of them are not Bedouins from the Sinai, but some Al-Qaeda fighters or Salafists from other Muslim countries, don't have the same world view like my colleague, and this is a big problem. Sinai is becoming ungoverned or failed governed area, and it is a problem and a risk both for Egypt and for Israel. And let me say one thing. Israel and Egypt are collaborating at this very moment. The collaboration between the security apparatuses of both countries is going on and never stopped. And this is why we don't see more clashes like this along the border. But it's true that we in Israel believe that in order to preserve the peace and the situation in Sinai normal, more or less, Egypt has to introduce more forces and to do more in the law enforcement actions. Let's put it this way. Yeah.
Myra, if you wanted to come back to that.
Yeah, again, I would say, certainly I understand your point of view. I'm not naive to the point of accepting or believing that everybody thinks what I'm saying. But I can tell you what impression you're making on an Egyptian electorate, on the basic Egyptian people, if you seem to be giving lessons to Egypt. This is not the way things will advance. This is not the way things can enable us to live next to each other. And the Egyptians are. Tomorrow you're going to see a military parade with 16 dead bodies. Now, believe me, and I'm sure you understand what I'm going to say here. Half of the population of Egypt believes it's a Mossad affair, and half of the population of Egypt will try to influence the other half to believe that. I do not believe it's a Mossad operation. I believe there are mad people everywhere, and that this is the fact of mad people. For religious reasons, for political reasons, for whatever reasons, people do not kill each other like that. I mean, voila. But how to solve the problem? This is where we diverge. And of course, I'm nothing but one Egyptian lady.
All right, Ron, you wanted to come back on that.
But let me say one thing to you. Listen, Israel is known to have good intelligence, and Israel gave the Egyptian authorities public and tacit warnings, specific warnings about even this operation that occurred yesterday, this terrorist operation that occurred yesterday. Why don't the Egyptians pay attention? You blame me for preaching to the Egyptians, giving them lessons like a patron trying to teach the natives. Not at all.
I did not say exactly that.
But we share very precious information with the Egyptian authority, and they dismiss it.
Well,
they dismiss it.
Okay, I understand you. I am sure there is very precious information that goes from Israel to Egypt, and it is valuable and it is needed. But will you tell me, just looking face to face across a screen, will you tell me that Israel listens to information coming from Egypt, and not only concerning terrorism, but concerning how the basic people feel about the Israeli behavior? No, you don't. So let us not just throw blames to each other.
You're talking about Israeli behavior.
Israel has not listened to what the ground in the Arab countries was saying when Gaza, the same Gaza, was being bombarded, when the people in Gaza are deprived of the basic needs. So, I mean, let us not blame each other.
Listen,
we are both on the same run at fault.
Ron?
No. Unfortunately, and I mean it when I say unfortunately, we are not on the same run. I don't want to start the very well-known game. Who started it? Has Israel bombarded Gaza, or has the Gazans bombarded Israel? But leave it. Let's leave it. We listen to you. I'll give you an example. I covered the revolution in Egypt on the ground in Cairo. I covered it in Libya too. I have a foreign passport. I covered it in other countries. How many Egyptian journalists came and wrote a story from Israel telling how the situation is in Israel? I'll tell you, in so many years that there is peace accord between Israel and Egypt, even 5 journalists were not here. Well, and you ask how many Israeli journalists reported from Cairo?
I can answer you on that. And again,
thousands.
And again, I'm answering as single me, an Egyptian woman. I have never set foot in Israel. and I shall not set foot in Israel so long as the people there are not treated equally. And this is a good reason for any Egyptian journalist or Arab journalist to not go there, just because, not because I would disagree and it would change the face of the earth if I go and disagree, but I'm not sure I would master my own patience and my own reaction if I see people badly treated in the streets. This is one good reason. This is what I'm saying. Why don't you listen to the terrain?
What? Badly treated in, my lady, badly treated in the street?
Yes.
Believe me,
This is what happens
I
when you
would
don't
like
send
to stop
journalists to
this
Israel.
argument.
You have
I
a-
would
One
like
at a
to
time,
stop
please.
this
You have
argument
no
at
idea
this very
what's
moment.
going on. You have no idea what's going on in
We
Israel.
see what
So
is
you
going
have-
on
No,
newsreels
no,
and what
no.
happens at checkpoints. Do we need to go and see for
Of
ourselves?
course, of
Do I
course.
need to stand
do you
with
know?
a checkpoint?
Do you know that a woman alone in Cairo is not safe? Does it prevent journalists, women and men, to go there in order to tell stories, in order to make us understand what's going on there?
It's also
Israel is 1,000
generalization
times
there.
safer than Egypt. I mean, what are we talking about? We're talking about a country where 50% of people, if not more, believe that the Mossad is under the shark attacks in the Red Sea. It's crazy.
No, this is crazy, and
This
you're
is
taking
crazy.
a crazy
I mean, the
example.
governor
You're
of
choosing a
Sinai,
crazy
the governor of
example.
Sinai said in the end of 2010 that the possibility that Mossad is behind shark attacks is not to be excluded.
Yeah,
The
this is
governor of
ridiculous.
Sinai.
Okay,
All right, but
this
this was
is
before
ridiculous. This
Morsi
can
came
be
to
No,
power.
but I mean,
treated as
when we are
ridiculous.
talking about dialogue, you need to have a common language. You can't have a dialogue between someone who's talking Chinese and someone who's talking Japanese.
Now,
It
come
just
on,
doesn't happen.
I'm talking English.
No,
do we,
no,
do
we're
we
not talking the
deny
same-
that checkpoints are a difficult situation for the Palestinians? Do we
What
deny
I'm-
that they
what
have
I'm
to wait
deny-
hours and
what I'm
hours?
denying
Do you
is-
deny that me
What
as
I'm denying is
with an
journalists-
Egyptian
journali-
passport?
Yeah,
journalists-
please don't shout. Please don't shout. Well, I think the point.
Journalists go to China. Journalists went to the USSR. Journalists go everywhere. When journalists go somewhere, it doesn't mean that he adheres to the regime. He just wants to tell a story.
Right, but
He just want-
whoever is right or wrong, Myra has a point in that Israel has failed to speak to people in Arab countries and tell them what's going on and tell them why there are checkpoints and tell them why they're worried about their security. They have failed in the information battle, if you like. They haven't managed to get their message across because educated people like Myra, you know, she's not from the Muslim Brotherhood.
No,
she's not
they-
an extremist. She's someone who's telling you how people feel in Egypt and other
As
countries.
soon as Sadat and the military elite decided to change from the Russian alliance to the American alliance and make peace with Israel, they lost the Egyptians intellectuals. In Egypt, the liberal professions, journalists, lawyers, pharmacists, they organized in kind of syndicates, and all these syndicates decided immediately to boycott Israel. We're talking about 79, 80, 81, 82. From the very beginning, those who are supposed to be the eyes and the ears of the Egyptian societies decided to shut the eyes and to shut the ears, not to go there, not to talk with them. They boycotted the ambassador. They didn't do anything in order to try and give people another vision, some more information. Maybe they should hate Israel even more. How do we know? I mean, they don't have information. There's so much ignorance, anti-Semitism. I mean, it's really, the situation is really incredible.
I do
And-
not
and-
agree. I do
I mean,
definitely
Myra,
not
come
The
back to
agree.
that.
the country where you can buy the protocols of the elders of Zion in Arabic, a country where people believe that the Mossad could be behind shark attacks. I
You
mean,
see, these are the sort of mixtures that will never lead us anywhere. When you're saying anti-Semitism and we're talking
The
of
best-
Israel, come
the-
on.
the best-
There were Jews in Egypt. There are Jews in Egypt. We have nothing against the religion. Anti-Semitism is
so
anti-religion.
why do
we have
people
nothing
buy?
against
Why do
them.
people buy the protocols of the elders of Zion? Look at caricatures. I mean, come on, it's obvious.
You know
I mean,
where they were written? Do you know where they were written? They were written by a Frenchman.
the sign-
So obviously, at some point of time, even the French believed it was right. It is wrong. We know it is wrong.
buy
Intellectuals
it.
know it is wrong.
Is
But
there
the
is there any
people-
hope? Is there any hope going forward, Myra, that Egypt and Israel might be able to work together and out in the open, not as we've heard reportedly behind the scenes, security services, etc. Do you think, you know the Egyptian people, you know the Israeli people, is there any common ground at all that they might be able to work for when they have got this common threat?
They both will realize that they need each other. And it's not a single-handed enterprise of proving superiority and inferiority. The day they will really understand that these people have to live together because they are bordering each other. The day they will accept that, and even if it's naive on my part, whatever treaties we make, they can be rediscussed, they can be forgotten, can be destroyed, and will be in the same as 40 years ago. So what?
But do you think electing the Muslim Brotherhood is taking Egypt further away from that goal?
I don't think so. Although I'm not a Muslim Brotherhood myself, and I did not vote for them, and I shall never vote for them. I don't think in itself the Muslim Brotherhood are opportunistic people. Excuse me for the wording, my brothers, Egyptian brothers, but they are opportunists.
They didn't overthrow Mubarak, did they?
They are opportunistics. If they see their interest is going to be to continue the peace treaty and that the people in Egypt will follow them, they will do it. But it's just a matter of, if we have a common interest, let's work for it and not just throw things at each other. Now, today, we have a situation where the two sides of the frontier are living a terrorism attack. So rather than just throwing accusations, the Sinai is or isn't, we know the whole of Egypt is now unsettled, in an unsettled situation. It's not because of Israel, or it's not resulting directly in something for Israel. It is for the whole country. So let's talk. This is what I'm saying.
Let's talk indeed. Well, that is the aim of the France 24 debate. Myra Mahdi, Gil Mikhaili in Tel Aviv, Ron Ben Yishai and Omar Ashoy joined us briefly as well. Thank you very much indeed to you all. That's it for tonight's debate. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Good night.
Thanks.